The Inter-Services Intelligence, ISI, is Pakistan's premier intelligence agency and has played a significant role in shaping both Pakistan's domestic and foreign policies. Established in 1948, the ISI has been involved in covert operations, intelligence gathering, and counter-terrorism efforts, making it one of the most powerful institutions in Pakistan. It has also been a key player in regional geopolitics, particularly in its rivalry with India, and in its role in Afghanistan. However, the ISI has also faced numerous controversies, including allegations of political interference, supporting militant groups, and involvement in human rights violations. This video offers an in-depth look at ISI's structure, operations, famous directors, notable successes and failures, recruitment practices, and future role in global intelligence. The formation and evolution of ISI. Historical background. The Inter-Services Intelligence, ISI, was established in 1948, a year after the creation of Pakistan, to coordinate military intelligence across the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Its creation was primarily a response to the intelligence failures during the 1947-48 Indo-Pak War over Kashmir. At the time, Pakistan's military leaders realized that a centralized intelligence agency was necessary to collect and analyze intelligence from multiple sources to counter external threats, particularly from India. Role of Major General Robert Corthholm. Major General Robert Corthholm, a British Army officer who served as Pakistan's Deputy Chief of Army Staff, is credited with founding the ISI. He envisioned an agency that would consolidate intelligence operations under a single organization and coordinate between military branches. Cortham's focus was primarily on external threats, especially from India, but the agency's role soon expanded to include internal security and political intelligence. Organizational structure and operations of ISI. The ISI operates with a hierarchical and secretive structure, reporting directly to the Chief of Army Staff and the Prime Minister of Pakistan. While it is a military-run organization, it operates with considerable autonomy. The ISI is divided into various wings, each responsible for specific types of intelligence operations. Internal Security Wing, ISW, focuses on domestic intelligence and counterintelligence operations. It monitors internal threats, such as political opposition and extremist groups. External Security Wing, ESW, handles foreign intelligence gathering, primarily focusing on India and Afghanistan. It conducts espionage, subversive operations, and covert military actions. Political Wing. Established during the 1970s under Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, this wing is responsible for political intelligence and interference in domestic politics. It has been accused of orchestrating coups, manipulating elections, and supporting pro-military political factions. Joint Intelligence Miscellaneous, JIM. This wing manages insurgencies and the intelligence related to religious extremism and Pakistan's tribal areas. Joint Intelligence Technical, JIT. Responsible for signals intelligence and cyber operations. It deals with electronic surveillance and counter-cyber operations, particularly against India. Joint Counterintelligence Bureau, JCIB. Focuses on counterintelligence operations, detecting and countering foreign espionage attempts against Pakistan. ISI, estimated manpower and global reach. Although the exact number of ISI operatives is not publicly known, it is believed that the agency has tens of thousands of personnel, including field agents, analysts, and technical staff. These operatives are deployed both domestically and internationally, with a significant presence in Afghanistan, India, the Middle East, and Western countries. The ISI is reputed to be one of the most extensive intelligence networks in South Asia. Recruitment and training. The ISI recruits its personnel primarily from the Pakistan Army, although it also draws from the Navy, Air Force, and even civilian backgrounds. Officers with experience in special forces, such as the Special Services Group, SSG, are often chosen for covert operations. Recruits undergo intense training that includes surveillance, counterintelligence, interrogation, espionage, and covert operations. Cyber warfare and digital intelligence have become a growing focus of ISI's training programs in recent years. Famous ISI chiefs and their impact. General Akhtar Abdur Rahman, 1979 to 1987. One of the most influential ISI directors, General Akhtar Abdur Rahman, served during the critical years of the Soviet-Afghan War. Under Rahman's leadership, the ISI played a pivotal role in Operation Cyclone, a CIA-led initiative to support Afghan Mujahideen fighters against Soviet forces. Rahman facilitated the flow of billions of dollars in aid, weapons, and training to the Mujahideen, effectively managing the largest covert operation in CIA history. This success established ISI's reputation for being able to manage complex intelligence operations with significant geopolitical implications. General Hamid Gul, 1987 to 1989. General Hamid Gul is one of the most controversial figures in ISI's history. During his tenure as ISI chief, Gul continued the agency's support for the Afghan Mujahideen but also deepened Pakistan's involvement in Kashmir. Gul is often credited with shaping ISI's proxy war strategy, where militant groups were used to pursue Pakistan's objectives in Afghanistan and Kashmir. He also had a strained relationship with the United States post-Cold War, criticizing U.S. policies in the region. Gul's legacy is marked by his strong anti-India stance and his support for Islamist militant groups, which would later come under scrutiny. General Asad Durrani, 1990 to 1992. General Asad Durrani's tenure as ISI chief was notable for ISI's deep involvement in domestic politics. Durrani is alleged to have orchestrated the distribution of funds to influence the 1990 elections in favor of the Conservative Political Alliance, IJI, Islami Jamhuri Ittihad, against Benazir Bhutto's Pakistan People's Party, PPP. This episode became known as the Morangate scandal, where Durrani and senior military officers were accused of using ISI funds to manipulate the political landscape. Durrani later admitted to the role of the ISI in influencing Pakistan's politics, a matter that remains controversial to this day. General Ahmed Shuja Pasha, 2008 to 2012. General Ahmed Shuja Pasha served during one of the most tumultuous periods in ISI's history. Pasha was the ISI chief when U.S. Navy SEALs conducted the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad in 2011. The failure of ISI to detect bin Laden's presence in Pakistan, living just miles from a major military academy, raised questions about the agency's competence or possible complicity. Pasha's tenure also saw increased tensions between the ISI and U.S. intelligence agencies, especially after the bin Laden raid and the Raymond Davis incident, in which a CIA contractor shot 2 Pakistanis in Lahore. Success stories: ISI's most notable operations. Soviet-Afghan War and Operation Cyclone, 1979 to 1989. Perhaps ISI's greatest success was its role in the Soviet-Afghan War, where it acted as the middleman between the CIA and Afghan Mujahideen fighters. Operation Cyclone was one of the largest covert operations in history, and the ISI was instrumental in training, arming, and directing the Afghan insurgents who fought Soviet forces. The war ultimately resulted in the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan in 1989, marking a major victory for Pakistan and ISI's regional influence. Safeguarding Pakistan's nuclear program. Another significant success of the ISI was protecting Pakistan's nuclear weapons program, particularly during the 1980s and 1990s. ISI played a key role in ensuring that Pakistan's nuclear ambitions remained hidden from international scrutiny. ISI operatives helped acquire crucial technology and materials for Pakistan's nuclear program, despite international sanctions. The agency also conducted counterintelligence operations to thwart sabotage attempts by foreign intelligence agencies, ensuring Pakistan successfully tested its nuclear weapons in 1998. Counter-terrorism and the War on Terror. After 9/11, the ISI became a crucial partner for the United States in the War on Terror. It provided intelligence that led to the capture of several high-profile al-Qaeda operatives, including Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks. While the ISI's relationship with the US was strained due to its complex ties with the Taliban, its counter-terrorism efforts within Pakistan were instrumental in disrupting terrorist networks. Major controversies and failures. Political interference and the political wing. The ISI's political wing, established during the 1970s, has long been accused of interfering in Pakistan's domestic politics. It has been involved in manipulating elections, supporting pro-military political factions, and orchestrating coups. One of the most famous cases of ISI's political interference was the 1990 election, where the agency allegedly funneled funds to the IJI alliance to prevent Benazir Bhutto's PPP from winning. This scandal, known as Moran Gate, remains a black mark on ISI's reputation for meddling in civilian politics. The Osama bin Laden controversy, 2011. One of the most significant failures of ISI was its inability, or possible unwillingness, to detect the presence of Osama bin Laden, the world's most wanted man, in Abbottabad. The US conducted a covert operation without informing Pakistan, killing bin Laden just miles from a major military installation. The incident raised suspicions about ISI's possible collusion with al-Qaeda, although Pakistan has consistently denied these allegations. The bin Laden raid severely damaged the credibility of ISI on the international stage and strained US-Pakistan relations. Kargil conflict, 1999. ISI played a central role in planning the Kargil conflict, a military confrontation between India and Pakistan in 1999. Pakistani forces and militants infiltrated Indian territory in Kashmir, resulting in intense fighting. While ISI initially viewed the operation as a strategic success, it backfired diplomatically, with Pakistan facing international condemnation and ultimately being forced to retreat. The Kargil debacle strained relations with the US and led to the downfall of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's government. Accusations of supporting militant groups. The ISI has long been accused of supporting Islamist militant groups to further Pakistan's foreign policy objectives, particularly in Kashmir and Afghanistan. Groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and the Afghan Taliban have reportedly enjoyed ISI's backing. The agency has been accused of using these groups as proxies in its long-standing conflict with India over Kashmir. The 2008 Mumbai attacks, carried out by LET operatives, were a major international scandal, with ISI accused of having links to the attackers. These allegations have strained Pakistan's relations with India and the United States. Human rights violations. The ISI has been accused of involvement in enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and torture, particularly in the provinces of Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Human rights organizations have criticized ISI for its heavy-handed approach to dealing with separatists and political activists, accusing the agency of violating civil liberties and human rights. ISI's modern role and future challenges. Cyber intelligence and warfare. As global conflicts increasingly move into the digital realm, ISI has significantly expanded its cyber warfare capabilities. The agency is known to conduct cyber espionage operations targeting India, particularly in sensitive areas such as military installations and infrastructure. ISI's cyber division is also responsible for defending Pakistan against cyber attacks, which have become a growing threat in modern warfare. Managing relations with Afghanistan. Following the US withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021, ISI's influence over the Afghan Taliban has become critical for Pakistan's regional strategy. While ISI's ties with the Taliban have long been a point of contention, the agency's role in stabilizing or destabilizing Afghanistan will shape Pakistan's geopolitical future. ISI will need to balance its support for the Taliban with international expectations of peace and counter-terrorism efforts. Counter-terrorism in Pakistan. Domestically, ISI continues to play a key role in counter-terrorism efforts, particularly against the Pakistani Taliban, Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan or TTP. The agency's challenge is to maintain internal security while managing the blowback from its previous support for militant groups, some of whom have turned against the Pakistani state. ISI's counter-terrorism operations will remain central to Pakistan's stability in the coming years. The Inter-Services Intelligence, ISI, of Pakistan is one of the most powerful and controversial intelligence agencies in the world. Known for its successful operations during the Soviet-Afghan War and its critical role in safeguarding Pakistan's nuclear program, the ISI has shaped Pakistan's domestic and foreign policy for decades. However, the agency's reputation has been tarnished by its political interference, alleged support for militant groups, and involvement in human rights abuses. As global intelligence warfare evolves, ISI will need to adapt to new challenges in cyber warfare, counter-terrorism, and regional stability, while managing its complex relationships with international powers. Its future role will be crucial not only for Pakistan's security but also for the broader geopolitical landscape of South Asia.